Wonder how fast intelligent machines run on 5G? At MMU, you'll find the answer. Wonder how creative content and online businesses are mastered? At MMU, you'll find the answer. Wonder how cybersecurity and law function? At MMU, you'll find the answer. Find out all these and many more at Multimedia University, because MMU is you, leading the digital future. Visit mmu.edu.my.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. We will start with our event in a short period of time. However, a bit of a reminder to keep your phone or laptops in silent mode until the Q&A session later. And during that time, you are welcome to appoint your question yourself, or you can drop it down in the chat box below. So without further ado, we will start our event with a few videos from Multimedia University. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Greetings to Dr. Ong Su Lin, Dean Faculty of Applied Communication, Ms. Liz Kamaruddin, Managing Director, FTI Consulting Malaysia, Adjunct Professor, Faculty of Applied Communication, Multimedia University. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to all. Welcome to the Adjunct Professorial Talk by Ms. Liz Kamaruddin on the topic of communicating in uncharted waters. Words are singularly the most powerful force available to humanity. We can choose to use this force constructively with words of encouragement or destructively using words of despair. Words have energy and power with the ability to help, to heal, to hinder, to hurt, to harm, to humiliate, and to humble. By Yehuda Berg. Communication has been an important part of our life ever since we were born in this world. We were taught to communicate with one another in order to express our emotion and project information to others. But how do we express our emotions and project information to others is depending on the skills and methods that we used. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Dr. Ong Su Lin, the Dean of Faculty of Applied Communication, for an opening speech.
A very good morning to everyone, and thank you for inviting me to deliver these welcoming remarks. It is a delight for our faculty organizing our first Adjunct Professorial Talk by Ms. Liz Kamaruddin on the topic communicating in uncharted waters. The talk is also hosted by our alumni, Mr. Amir Iskandar from Business Partnership Executive of Blue Duck Tech, Sendirian Berhad. For many of us at the faculty, we are often asked the innocent question on how does one communicate effortlessly? Or what does it take to communicate effectively? Well, apparently many people find it puzzling. So, in the spirit of knowledge sharing, I am convinced that this talk will be a great learning opportunity for all present here today. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor for me to introduce our adjunct professor, Ms. Liz Kamaruddin, the Managing Director of FTI Consulting Malaysia. Liz Kamaruddin has more than 30 years of experience in various communication practices, particularly reputation management, communication strategy, strategic planning, corporate and government stakeholder management, crisis communication, corporate social responsibility, branding, media relations, and internal communication. Known as a turnaround communication expert, Liz construct out-of-the-box solutions and effective strategies that proactively address business and communication challenges. She was the only Malaysian recognized in the world's three most prestigious PR and marketing awards. She was named as one of the top 500 influential PR professional in PR Week Power Book 2014 and 2015 by the Global PR Week magazine and included in the Power List 2014 Top 50 Most Influential People in PR by PR Week Asia. The Internationalist, New York, also named Liz as the Internationalist of the Year 2014. Currently, she also holds board positions in various public listed companies in Malaysia. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome our adjunct professor, Ms. Liz Kamaruddin, to deliver her thoughts and experiences. Thank you and enjoy the talk.
Assalamualaikum and good morning, my fellow colleagues and beloved students. It is an honor to be part of the Applied Communications team. It has always been my mission to elevate the comms community and fraternity so that it is well respected, revered, and sought after career choice. Thank you for having me to be part of it. PR is, it was quoted by Oscar Wilde that the only thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about. So when I started to think about the topic today, I was stumped. I have made my talks in my life, many talks in my lifetime. I have preached for organizations and universities. I have preached to fellow professionals to help manage reputation and show how reputation is so important to organizations and how communicators play an integral role in managing it. Then I look at the past 2 years when communications have become even more critical in managing crisis, perception, shareholders and stakeholder expectations, and I know that we should talk about that and how we as communicators step up as we become even more relevant in communicating in a new normal of society, paddling in uncharted waters. So don't worry, I'm not one to give long speeches as I welcome the chance for you to give me questions or present dilemmas. I will try my very best to answer questions and discuss dilemmas, many of which I have lived through. And if I can't answer it, I will definitely get back to you on the answers, and that's my holding statement. When I started working in communications 35 years ago, I saw it as a misunderstood career. It seemed most bosses saw it as nice to have, but can live without it sort of job. Generally, that has been the perception of what comms do in much of my career. We are expected to sit, look pretty, and speak only when spoken to. We do the events nicely and talk to journalists. That's what's expected. Even back then, the perception of PR was one of glamour, glitter, excitement, social chat, friendly, chatty interaction, and they call us the beautiful people. Mind you, this was 35 years ago. Behind the scenes, not many fail to see that we are actually trying to manage impossible circumstances created by business decisions of which we were unaware and would have counseled against if we had known. We were end-of-pipe fixers, the ambulance chasers, and if I can get away with mixing and mashing metaphors. We were the one who would do the things behind the scenes that others do not see, to keep things moving smoothly and without any visible glitches. We ensure everything was done well, and most importantly, any blunders were kept under wraps. These days, we are most likely to sit beside the CEO and advise them before they make decisions that need to be fixed, and that is when our real value becomes apparent. Instead of spending all our time in damage limitation and reputation mitigation, but helping set strategies, we can actually improve reputation and give business space to grow. So the question is, what do we actually do? Let me ask you this. Do you know who arranges scripts and manages CEOs and companies at the height of crisis? Who engages and wins over our stakeholders and internal publics to enable recovery post-crisis? Who articulates the internal and external context to ensure messages are aligned, politically correct, while addressing concerns and ensuring the order is maintained? Who coaches the CEO, board members, and senior management in addressing concerns and helping them to do the right thing? So we do. I have watched in interest and dismay as Malaysian business spiraled into reputational nosedive over the past 5 years. I watched as they attracted unwanted global headlines that questioned the integrity, ethics, freedom of speech, and even humanity of our companies, and by extension, our own choices in Malaysia, our own values in Malaysia. In the aftermath of MH370, we stumbled into 1MDB and found some of our proudest institutions facing accusations of human rights, infringement, and environmental standards. These, ladies and gentlemen, are what they call high-profile cases, and in my professional opinion, they do not get higher than this. The world has changed. A major comms shift needs to happen to manage that change. There is no point communicating what the company is doing if you know that the audience will not understand or find it acceptable. It is counterproductive, doomed to fail, and will quicken the slum. Communications today need to be right at the cutting edge of strategy development, and needs to influence or inform a company's mission and values today. For example, it is not by choice that a company such as Royal Dutch Shell relied on communications to lead the development of its business priorities. Our knowledge of the outside world can be the difference between a company meeting its business objective or failing, delivering multi-billion-dollar projects on budget and schedule, or being delayed by NGOs for years, crippling businesses and productivity. The growing challenge for PR fraternity comes from the well-documented, fully democratic, global fragmentation and polarization of society driven by social media, giving anyone an instant platform to spread wisdom and more likely prejudice and hate. We live in a strange world where an unknown individual can spread love or hate with a click. We now live in unprecedented times. And this is not going to change soon enough. It is interesting that some commentators are starting to call Facebook as the new tobacco. So everybody's addicted to Facebook. Today, we need to enter clear dialogue with an increasingly fragmented and complex network of stakeholders who are often globally interconnected. We need to understand who are the influencers, who can add value, who is dangerous, and why, and who is just noise in the background. We need to create an impression of a dynamic, interactive, adaptable, and responsible organization to stay alive, influence the debate, and maintain the moral high ground. And make no mistake, those impressions must be based on reality, or you will be found, or you'll be found out. So remember, Enron, the world's best business principles, but they were only on paper. They were never part of the company's DNA. So our job is also to make sure the company lives the right principles and does the right thing. But only you know that, which makes it more tricky. In particular, 2020 and 2021 proved to be a challenging landscape for business globally, with established norms of working, internal communication, stakeholder engagement, and marketing being forcibly altered in ways that could not have been predicted. In particular, the pandemic has posed unique challenges for the global strategic comms industry, an industry in which in-person engagement and social connections have traditionally been a key driver of relationship building, one-on-one interaction, and campaign management. It would be interesting to see how this impact the new normal plays out against our former stakeholder engagement methods when the pandemic eases. Face-to-face engagement has been the stronghold of strategic comms, but we are doing pretty well without it. Will we go back to it? As communicators, how will we adapt in the future to meet the future challenges? We have watched multinationals globally buckle under activist attack, accused of environmental destruction, exploiting and marginalizing communities for profit. We watch in interest, thinking will not happen to us in Malaysia. We used to think we are immune, but we're not. Globalization has taught us that Malaysian companies are as much at risk as anybody else. We have our fair share of Malaysia companies banned from importing its products in the US, and this came right after an international campaign against their standards. However, despite this evidence of heightened risk, too many Malaysian companies are still living in the past and believing that their reputation will continue to be rescued by our traditional culture value of respect and deference for authority and conformity over conflict. The latest train collision shows that there's no concession to the past, just laser-like scrutiny and criticism. Respect comes only when the right decisions are being made. Deference needs to be earned, at least on social media. Our traditional values need to be nurtured, but in a crisis, companies need to respond fast, surely, confidently, and demonstrate they are being responsible. As a PR professional, it is our job to help our organization navigate increasingly complex, democratic, and empowered society and stay relevant and profitable. It may sound like an oxymoron, but that is the art that is public relations. We explain the garbage to paint beautiful, calm pictures that are seen widely acceptable and responsible, and for the company, that has to happen as cheaply as possible. Unfortunately, more than not, we are thankless for it too. In PR, use your voice and moral compass to guide the narrative. Sometimes companies will do the right thing. They will match the expectation of their communities, public stakeholders, and the wider audiences. Our role in this instance is to communicate so that it resonates with our stakeholder. As John B. Rockefeller said, next to doing the right thing, the most important thing is to let people know you are doing the right thing. However, as frequently, teams will misjudge the external expectation of important stakeholders, such as customers, consumer, media, and NGO. This is happening increasingly as the external landscape becomes more fragmented, shrill, empowered, perplexing, and combative. Maybe they think that because what they did before worked, and it will work again. But the world has moved on and expectations are going through the roof. Maybe they think that the protesters do have enough credibility to be more than lonely voices in the wilderness. With social media as an effective megaphone, it is a dangerous opposition. In these cases, we need to guide decision from an outside-in perspective. Our job is to understand the divergent public opinions, which one matters and which one don't, and advise on the reputational risks and outcomes of public perception of decision, actions, and possible repercussion. The growing sense of conscientiousness in your generation brings hope that we can use the PR field as a tool to influence leaders to take and make the right decisions while we craft the right messages to make sure those decisions were heard and accepted. Sustainability and ESG are not just fancy words for annual reports and companies and compliance to global regulation, but actual principles to live by, and that is strategically and operationally relevant with tangible outcomes. Advertising is saying you're good, but getting someone else to say you're good, that's building reputation. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm hopeful when I see wonderful, educated, idealistic, and smart individuals such as yourself here to carry the torch for the PR fraternity. We grow in relevance each day. As PR professionals, as Malaysian corporates, it starts with you. So don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone and put your hand up for challenging tasks. It is really important to not become relaxed in your chosen field and always push yourself. Always be on a learning curve. Learn new things, experiment, absorb, and as communicators, you need to always remain relevant. As Bill Gates said, if I was down to my last dollar, I spend it on PR. Thank you again, MMU and the Faculty of Applied Communications for giving me this honor. And as for our young communicators, may the force be with you. Thank you.
Thank you to Dr. Ong Su Lin for the opening speech just now, and to Ms. Liz Kamaruddin, for the fruitful speech that we have just now. A lot of information and experience have been given to us just now. Furthermore, we will continue with the session of question and answering. So if you have any question, you can appoint it yourself or you can drop it down in the chat box below. Okay, we have the first question. Ms. Liz Kamaruddin. What is the difference between emotions and sexism? How we can communicate efficiently based on that?
Emotions and?
Sexism, yeah.
Skepticism.
Sexism.
Sexism.
Yes.
Tough question. How do we communicate, right?
Yes.
I think it's all on the okay. There was a saying that says that what you say may not be what I heard. What I heard may not be what you meant. Right? So sometimes you can't help it when people don't understand what you're trying to say or misconstrued what's being said. Yeah. So that's why it's so important that before you go out and talk to the public, before you address, you need to always be prepared. So preparation is important. I think the tone of voice is important. I always tell my CEO, whenever they want to go out and have interviews with the media or they are interacting with the internal publics, I will expect them to be well prepared. And usually that's your role, that's our role as communicators. We help them to be able to be prepared.
I see. So the important thing is that we need to always be prepared in what's going to come in
Yes.
the next 5 to 10 minutes later. Okay. All right. So recently we are very famous in TikTok or Instagram influencer. Do you have any opinions on that regarding the effectiveness of influencer as a communicator?
What's my take on it?
Yeah. What's your take on it?
I'm old school, right? I've been around for 35 years, so I think I'm not too encouraging. I think influencers can be dangerous and can be responsible, right?
Responsible.
Because at the end of the day, influencers, TikTok, even advertisers, it's like advertisers. They are like advertising agency. They advertise. They may be, it's not the right product. Putting your name with the right product. You're not sure whether they're responsible in their judgment of a certain product, but they are influencers. So that's a bit scary. Now, if I were to look at what's happening now, I'm a bit scared because anybody can be an influencer, but how responsible can they be? Yeah, I mean, don't get me started, because I also, I listen to the radio in the morning sometimes. I have an my father is 84 years old and he listens to the radio. And sometimes there's advertisements, in the radio, and there's influencers in the radio that talked about certain products where you do not know where it came from. And people like my dad, older people, they get influenced by it, and the next thing you know, they buy, right? So if you're not responsible, if you are doing it because of the money, then you have to think, okay, it's all about your conscience. So I'm not a fan. So I'm old school. And I believe in honesty.
So basically, for all the influencers, I'm not saying all of them, but some of them are using an irresponsible marketing scheme.
Sometimes, yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the money, right? Right? So who can you listen to? So I think as audiences, you need to make sound judgment. Do your research. So don't just take whatever that's being said out there.
Yeah, because nowadays a lot of people are like trying to attract people by using this irresponsible marketing. But how do we identify the irresponsible marketing? Because some of them are very
famous.
Good. Yeah, famous and good. But I'm not want to say who specifically. But some of them are very good in doing the marketing. And
yeah, that's how they make money.
That? Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's about money, right?
Yes.
I mean, I can't comment too much because I had a person who used to work for me, and an intern, and she said that I asked her, what do you want to do after this? She said, I want to be an influencer. So I was shocked. That was the first time that I heard somebody actually want to become influencer. That's how powerful it is. And I think as influencer, you have the responsibility to ensure that you do your research, you give the right opinion, because people listen to your opinion. So that's important. That's why I'm not an influencer. That's why I'm not. Because I always tell my colleagues, and I said, whenever I want to say something, I make sure that I mean it. And when I want to say something, I want to ensure that my conscience are clear. Yeah, but not everybody.
Not everybody. Yeah. It depends on each
exactly.
and everyone. Yes.
Exactly.
Okay. So are you in the opinion that a career in communication will continue to be relevant in the next 5 years' time? What's your take on that?
For the next 100 years.
For the next 100 years.
Yeah. Okay. So what? I remember I had a talk in the MMU a few years ago, and I did that talk together with a few other professionals, including the late Datuk Wong Sai-wan. So that was a really funny time because at that time when we had that talk, it was social media was on a high, and nobody wants to read the normal newspapers because everybody goes back to social media because they felt that the newspapers were hiding stuff. And I remember, the late Wong Sai-wan said, "Sorry guys," in front of all the comms students. "Sorry guys, you're not going to have a job after this because of social media." And I remember that we had argument during that panel, and we said, "No, that's not true. Communications will continue to be relevant because." The companies, organizations need to tell their story. They need to be able to help during crisis. So you need communicators. So if you decided to become a communicator, it's going to be your career, your professional career as you grow, you need to be on the learning curve. You need to understand the market. You need to understand the economy. Yeah? You need to understand financial results. You need to understand what would be the new buzzword out there in the market and be on top at the heart of the action is. Yeah? So if you're going to be a communicator that is just there because you want to do events, you want to have fun, you want to have the glamour of it, then you're not going to be far in your career. So choose wisely when you decided to become a communicator as you move along in your career.
I see. So there's a lot of to think about for future planning. I see. So okay, maybe there is a question from the participants in the GMeet that you would like to appoint yourself. So if you want to, if you can unmute yourself and then you can raise your hand. Okay, you can click on the button raise hand there and you can straight away appoint the questions. So okay, there's another question coming in. Communication can be biased. Okay, so how to differ between good and bad communication informations? How to differ that information, whether it is good or bad? Sometimes when we talk, when we send information, we just want people to say yes to us, no matter whether it is good or bad. So how do we identify that?
So depend on situation, I guess. Whenever people ask you a question, that means they are asking for your opinion, right? So your opinion can be personal. So it's my personal opinion. Betul tak? Right?
Yes.
So I believe when people ask you questions, like now you're asking me a question and I'm giving you my opinion, I will give you my honest opinion. Again, goes back to my first quote. What you say may not be what you mean. What I heard may not
Yes.
be, what you mean or stuff like that. So it's when I go for a meeting, as when you work in an organization, you will need to present your ideas to your CEOs and the senior leadership, telling them this is the best way forward, right? So what I do whenever I go, how I prepare myself whenever I go for meetings is that I will do my homework. So I'm going to go and present to you an idea that I know it would work. Now I can't say 100%, but I'm positive 90% of it will work and that I will achieve the results that I want. So that's preparation, yeah? So when I go into the meeting, because I'm fully prepared, so I take the position that I'm going in, I'm going to tell you my ideas, you are going to tell me that I'm wrong. So that's bringing back the power to myself. So I'm confident. I've done my homework. I know this is what I want. I know this is what needed to be done. So that audience are going to tell me, you're wrong. So they need to convince me that my idea is wrong. Hence, I will then defend my idea to the senior leadership. So the minute I take that position, which I believe, taking back the power to yourself, I'm able to counter every single debate or questions that they have on the idea or the project that I intend to proceed. But that doesn't mean that whatever they tell me is wrong, because when you are in a discussion, you will have differing opinions, right?
Yes.
And their opinions are relevant too. So you need to also accept the opinion, look at it, and if there's something wrong with it, then you said, well, I'll go back, I'll look at it again, and I'll come back with, a better, maybe a better way of doing it, right? So, did I answer that question? Because it was quite difficult, right? I mean, how do you know that people will accept your opinion?
Yes,
Everybody have their own opinion, and you know that. Do you know that people usually they don't listen, right? So you say something, they don't listen. They have a question in their head.
Yes, they are, when they're communicating, when they talk to each other, they will like something in their head and they don't focus on what we are talking about.
So communications is about listening.
Yes.
So people say, oh, I communicate. I sudah cakap. But do you listen? So communications is about listening.
Yes. Okay. So is there a way we can measure or assess an effective communication, and how to be a good communicator, how to be good in communication, basically?
Assess boleh, you can assess yourself. I mean, okay. When I first started my job, right? I remember I was doing internal comms.
Okay.
So internal comms, zaman dulu is the most boring job ever. Because number one is you kena buat internal magazine, right? We go around. I went around carrying a camera and ambil gambar, and I have to come back with so many stories to pack up my 12 pages of newsletter, and that was being done twice a month. So I had to do the design, I had to think about the angle, and I had to do all that. So that was tough. But I think one of the things that I've done well when I first started, because I was in internal comms, I have a colleague who was doing external comms, and he was having fun. He met up with the media, he goes out with the media, he goes coffee the media, he interacts with people, and here I am just writing newsletter, going around with my camera, taking pictures, writing stories and stories and stories, and I said, hey, I want to do his job. So what I did was I followed him around. So every time there's a press conference, I insist that I'm going to be in that press conference. So I'll sit at the back, I'll start talking to the media, and I build my relationship. That's how we started. So curiosity in communicators is great. If you are not curious, you do not want to know what your other friend is doing, then you will be stuck in a realm where you do not know anything beyond that.
So
and it's worse now. Yeah, and it's worse now in Malaysia. In comms now, in big organization, you have, they call it specialists. So the event specialists, internal comms specialists, a media relations specialists. When the minute you ask them to do something else, they can't.
Because they are too focused on what they have been
exactly.
doing. Yes.
Yeah.
I see. So if you guys, without curiosity, you will never be able to grow yourself.
Yes.
From time to time.
Yes. That's why my last, in my speech just now, I said, always on a learning curve. Always learn something new. Even like me now at this age, I'm ancient. I'm still on a learning curve. I will still go and listen to lectures. I will still read, and try to understand what's happening out there, and things change. So you need to be able to do that. So don't think that just because you are there, you're there. There's always something new that you need to learn.
I see. Okay, so if there's any question from the Gmeet, the participant from the Gmeet, you can drop down in the chat box below, or you can appoint yourself by click on the button raise hand, and then you can appoint yourself the question. So okay, this question is a bit, I'm not quite sure whether it's cultural or a religion, but in communication. As a young individual, we have ideas, but we are told to always follow the elders' perspective.
Oh. My God, I get this question all the time.
Is it still advisable to do so in this era? Well, what are your takes on that?
Anak-anak muda sekalian.
Saya pun
You
boleh.
should always listen to your elders. I mean, they may not be great because they have made those mistakes. Communication is all about experience, ya. Because orang yang dah lama ni, dia dah tahu nak maneuver when there's a issue. They know how to maneuver. So they can give you good input when there's a crisis, when there's something new. Tapi janganlah kalau misalnya you punya, your senior said, in order for you to do this, you jangan hantar email, you buat memo. Come on. Siapa buat memo? Right? Janganlah ikut yang tu. So make that judgment call. But you do need to listen to people who has experience because they have gone through the grind. Kan? Budak-budak muda sekarang, I nak letih sikit. Budak-budak muda sekarang tak nak dengar cakap. Sebab dia rasa bila dia dah grad aja daripada communications graduate tu, dia rasa dia dah pandai. Dia dah pandai nak communicate. Padahal tak pandai pun. What you learned in the university will only prepare you 10% of what you need to do after graduation.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
If you're going to go out there and be super cocky, you're not going to learn anything. Because kalau dulu-dulu you belajar nak buat press release macam ni, you masuk office, hello, you rasa press release you tu betul ke? Your boss will tell you, this is the style of the organization. This is how I want it to do. This is how many pages I want it to be. This is what you must say. So listen. So pada mereka, every lecture that I go through, these young people ask me the same questions. Same questions. Should I listen to the elders? Please listen. Macam you listen to your parents, samalah juga. Respect their opinion and they will respect yours. Respect needs to be earned. I'm old school. I've done it 35 years. I've met so many young people, the Gen Y, the Gen Z, the millennials. I'm pulling my hair, communicating with them. But they do have great ideas. It's just that as long as they don't present the ideas to me as TikTok, I'm okay.
Wow, the explanation basically like took a hit from me because I'm also a younger generation. I was like, am I supposed to ask this question?
It's okay because I think it's a relevant question.
Yes.
I do think you need to learn from your seniors.
Yes.
It's very important. So if you learn from your seniors, you'll be a much better communicator because they have done it before. And comms is about experience.
Yes, the experience really matters. I like the idea of just now, whatever you learn in the university, only 10% of it will be used in the corporate world, in the working scheme. Yeah, I've been there that before, and I was like, oh, this is a really tough thing to approach. Welcome to the adult life.
Yes. Okay. And comms, sorry, I have to say this kan. Communications ni, you ada banyak competitor tau. As a graduate of comms, who are your competitor? I can tell you. Out there, the people with a legal background can become communicators. An internal business student can become a communicator. An engineer can become a communicator. Imagine kalau orang lain, kalau you are a lawyer, you punya competitor is another lawyer. Comms your competitor, segala degree yang ada dalam dunia ni is your competitor. So what makes you better than them? And if you think about it, an international business student would have the knowledge of economics, financial, which chances are a communications graduate may not have and may not be able to understand business policy, business operations. Betul tak?
Yes, correct.
Right? So that's your competitor. So as a communicator, what makes you better than the rest of the world? Doesn't mean that bila you keluar you ada degree communications tu you boleh dapat your next job.
Yes.
Because you're competing with a law graduate,
Yes.
with a finance graduate. I met a girl who took accountancy, and after graduating, she said, "Hey, I want to do comms because accountancy is so boring. So I want to work with numbers. I can still work with numbers, but I want to do communications." That's your competitor. Takut tak? I takut.
I mean, like I just start working for like 3 months, and it's really nerve-wracking. Okay, so
Baru 3 months, huh?
yes, only 3 months, and I was like, this is really tough. Oh my god! And I work in a field that basically not really my strength. I work as a sales executive. Okay, so it's really challenging, and it's still a learning process for me. Sorry,
Communicators can't sell. I'm sorry.
Okay, so back to the G-Meet. If you guys, if any of you have any questions, okay, do drop it down in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and appoint your question yourself. So, okay, there's a few more questions coming in. This is from a student's perspective. Okay, what is your take on the perception that communication students are not agile enough to face the real career world?
Siapa cakap tu? Sure.
This is a question from the student.
No, I think agility is all about what you absorb, what kind of knowledge, how much knowledge that you garner when you are in university. I believe you need to always ask questions. I mean, you have lecturers, your seniors that you can ask questions to. So ask questions. Learn a lot more so that you will be well equipped. Practice. I know a lot of people will tell me, I met a few students who said, I have problem because my command of English is not that great, right? I need to be able to speak better. Then practice. Always practice. Stand in front of the mirror. I don't think that, I think you are in a very competitive business. Yeah, you are in a very competitive career. That's why you need to be on learning curve. It goes back to my advice, at the end of my speech. You need to always be on the learning curve. Sorry lah guys, kalau orang lain dia dah habis belajar, dia tak belajar dah. Tapi for us, we need to do that. Even if you are a law graduate who decided to do comms, you need to be on the learning curve.
Our life is basically all about learning processes.
Exactly.
Okay, so for the skills on communication students, right? What is the most glaring skill gap of comm students who have entered a career?
Writing.
Writing. Okay.
Writing. It's always writing. You need to be able to write, because how are you going to help the CEO with the narratives, with his speeches? You need to be able to write. Research is also good. Having that research skill is very good, but writing skills is so important. I know a lot of comms graduates, they are very good at talking. They have quite a personality. Some of them, you can see the personality even when they were a student, right? And then the lecturer will say, oh, okay, Didi, she has the personality. But if you only have a personality, you only look good, but you can't write, you can't think, you can't do research, susah lah. You ada satu part je. And that part is like 20%, 30%. So that 70% of knowledge tu you tak ada. Susah juga. So that's why I said dulu when I remember when my first job, I called the comms team as the personality. Everybody is curious about the comms people. Oh, ni budak comms, and I hated that. So that's why I told you I never MC, right?
Yes.
Did I tell you just now? I never MC. Because bila nak MC je, oh panggil budak comms. Hey, hello, that's not my job. MC can give it to someone else. Budak marketing boleh buat. It's not my job. I can do something else. What do you want me to do? I can write your MC script. I'm good at that. Let me write your MC script. You MC. So that's how I do it. So I remember masa mula-mula kerja lah kan. And then bila dia nak cari tray girls. Tray girls? Dulu kan dia nak signing ceremony tray girls. And then orang-orang macam ni suddenly jadi tray girls. I hated it. Why do I have to bring the tray? They're secretaries. Let them do it. So I remember masa tu I executive lah, budak bawah. I pun macam you all juga tanya, I kena dengar cakap senior ke? I pun tanya juga soalan tu. Exactly, I asked the same question. And I remember my boss cakap dengan I, Liz, go and hold the tray, And then I always ask my boss, why? And then she said, no, it's your job to hold the tray. No, it's not my job to hold the tray. It's my job to coordinate the person that's holding the tray. Now that's me. Now I'm not telling you that you have to do that. So macam I kedekak sikit lah. So I macam you lah, soalan tu betul. You kena dengar ke cakap senior. So make that informed decision. So I decided that I'm not going to hold the tray. So every time, whenever there's an event, there's somebody who needs to hold the tray, sebelum dia suruh I recruit secretaries to go and hold the tray. Jadi I tak payah pegang. Yeah? So because I've decided at that point of time, my job is more important than just emceeing, holding the tray, buat catering, I decided that my job is bigger than that. Again, it's a choice, right guys?
So talking about the references, what are the literal references for communication to be reliable and relatable in the com carrier lah, basically.
Tak faham soalan dia.
I mean like for the references, that what are the something that for the younger generations to refer to based for the communication to be more reliable, to be more relatable with the current situation that are happening right now.
Okay, I think it's harder for you now lah. You know, I'm so sorry guys. I mean, it's harder for you now. I think zaman-zaman I tu senang sikit. I rasa sebab orang tak celik lagi ya. They don't really understand the role of communications. That's why I made it my mission to defend the communicators. Sebab I marah bila organisation just put communications to just do events. I marah. I get very angry because you are smart people. You went through the degree for 4 years. Your lecturers have taught you to be able to be independent and do comms the right way. Kenapa you nak buat angkat tray je? Right? So I always believe that relevancy is all up to you. Everything in this world is all up to you. If you want to be better, then you need to learn more. You need to absorb more. You need to listen more. You need to do all that in order for you to be better. When I was young, because I'm not a comms graduate, right? I'm not a comms graduate. I'm sorry guys, bad news. I'm not a comms graduate. So because I'm not a comms graduate, but I want to become a communicator, I have to learn. Betul tak?
Yes.
Sebab kita tak boleh. I tak ada that basic. You all are so lucky. You have that basic. You have lecturers who will be able to teach you what to do. I have to learn on the job. But what I do is I learned, I listen, I keep my mouth shut, I observe, and I decided what I want to do. When I was doing event, I remember when the first time they asked me to do event, you tahu tak apa kerja I nak jadi dekat dalam group event? Because event selalu ada committee, right? So orang semua adalah I nak buat gifts, I nak buat cabutan bertuah, kan? I angkat tangan, I nak jadi secretary.
Oh.
So every time ada event, I angkat tangan, I nak jadi secretary. So I remember my boss tanya I, why do you always want to be a secretary? I said, because I know everything that's being done to do that event. That's how I learn. As a secretary, you tahu lah kerja you kan? You kena dengar apa orang cakap, you kena tulis, and then you kena ingat apa orang tu cakap. Betul tak?
Yes.
You tahu tak chairman punya job? Dia selalu lupa. Dia akan tengok kat secretary tu, apa lagi? Apa lagi? Betul tak? Right? So when you are secretary, you akan tahu yang orang ni buat macam apa, orang ni buat apa, orang ni buat apa, orang buat apa. And then dia tanya, apa lagi kalau during event secretary tak ada kerja kan? Betul tak? Secretary dah habis dah buat semua tu, habis event dia tak ada kerja. And then they ask, okay, Liz, what do you want to do next? And I raise my hand and I say, I want to become the floor manager. You know how important the floor manager job is?
Yes.
Do you know the guy that came in just now and briefed us and tell us what to do and what not, and we listen to him?
Yes.
He is powerful because you listen to him. When he signals like this, you tengok dia angkat tangan, you pun dengar cakap dia, okay. That is how important the floor manager is. Yes. So that's how I started. Sebab I tak tahu I tak ada the background. I decided I want to become a secretary. I decided I want to become the floor manager. So lepas tu I dah terror. Then the minute I dah terror buat event, I kata, okay, next, what else shall I learn? So I decided to learn branding, decided to learn CSR, right? That's how you evolved as communicators. So kalau you rasa you dah pandai, susahlah. Kan? So your degree is 10%, yeah?
Yeah. It really took me by surprise there when you say a degree only works for 10% when you work for the corporate world. I was like, oh, okay, that is really, really true.
So janganlah marah kalau misalnya you rasa you tak pandai, jangan marah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a start, right?
Yes, I have that emotion as well when I first started working, nothing works, and even it's a new field for me, a new career for me, different field from what I'm doing, from what I'm learning. I was like, okay, I need to take this challenge up, but it's really nerve-wracking. It's really headache, giving me a headache every single day. So
Best kan?
Wow, best or not is not really what I had in mind, but overall it's a new challenging for me, and I have to keep going in order for me to grow, because my boss also says the same thing. If you stay at the same spot over and over again, you won't grow.
Yep.
So it's gonna take a lot of time for you to really be at everywhere, so that you will have a lot of knowledge, you'll have a lot of skills, even though you're just from one side of field, but you can go to this side, you can go to this side, you can go to this side as well.
I mean, as communicators, always remember this saying, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. As communicators, always remember that. Kadang-kadang communicator ni dia dah buat satu benda tu, satu benda tu je lah betul, formula tu je lah betul. So that's insanity, because the next time the results is going to be different. The next time the results is going to be different. And then you buat benda yang sama juga. Tak sedap-sedap benda tu. Macam masak kan. You masak macam tu juga, tak sedap-sedap. Orang, you get what I mean? So insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Always remember that. So as long as you're not insane, you will always have to experiment and try new things.
Correct. Okay, good. Okay, I understand that. So back to the G-Meet, a participant in the G-Meet. If you have any more questions, you can drop it down in the chat box, or you can click on the raise hand button, okay, and then you can appoint it yourself. So, okay, if let's say someone says something offensive, something that will trigger you, something that will make you tick. Basically, like when we talk, right? Somebody wants to fight. So how can we take it positively? How can we, whatever they say, we take it positively, even though it really hurts? Okay, even though it really hurts, but we take it positively. And how do we manage to stay calm and professional all the times, especially for the younger generations like me, who's just started working and have a lot of adrenaline coming in? So yeah.
That's why communication is about listening. Did I say that? Throughout your career, you will always have criticism. I mean, I had it. If I were to tell you the amount of criticism that I faced, I can write a book, right? And you will never win. There will always be criticism. And even worse now, because ada social media, semua orang hero.
Yeah.
Semua orang have an opinion. Everybody has an opinion on you. And people can say whatever they like about you. I always tell myself that my conscience must always be clear. So it's not about them, it's about you. But I also believe that you need to listen so that you can do a bit of self-check. Memang betul kot aku buat benda ni tak betul. Maybe I am not that great. Maybe I'm not that good. So what I can do to be better? So always remember that. So janganlah bila orang tegur, your seniors ke tegur, you cepat-cepat nak marah. You have to think. I went through a very painful period in my career at one point, and I need to do a bit of a stock take. So I actually did a stock take, and I did something that makes me proud after that. So always, bila orang cakap tu, always reflect lah. Janganlah cepat sangat nak melompat. Nobody likes comms people, guys. Nobody like comms people. They don't trust you. Dia rasa bila dia cakap dengan you nak pergi cakap dengan media, which is not true. And then if anything goes wrong in the organisation, the comms team usually get blamed, which is kind of sad. When there's a crisis, dia kata ni lah budak comms tak buat kerja. Tapi kadang-kadang the comms itself is not right spec in the crisis because the organisation doesn't tell them what's happening, right? So that's why it's so important for you to be able to position yourself within where you worked in. Make yourself important, give your opinion, ask questions, learn about the business so that you would be able to help them managing crisis or business issues when it happen, because they do need a second opinion. So you need macam second opinion lah kat dalam organisation tu. I remember when I remember dulu my CEO will say, kalau dia masuk press conference kan, the media tanya, sir, what is apa dia, and then the guy will cakap, my CEO said, I have to check with Liz whether I boleh cakap benda ni atau tidak. Sometimes when my boss said that, I get very nervous. But what does that tell you? That you are the one who's going to advise your CEO what to say and what not to say. So, and then what does that make you? Powerful tak? Imagine that. So, if you are not on the ball, you do not know what's happening, you do not know the business of the organization, how are you to advise your CEO and your senior leadership? Right? So your job is important.
Yes, very, very important.
The best job in the world, guys. I've been doing it for 35 years. I love it. Kalau orang lain semua macam boring, nak tertidur, I'm this old, I'm still working. What does that tell you?
So another question is coming in regarding the racist issue.
Which recent issue?
Yeah, why do you think racist issue?
Racist.
Racist, yeah.
Oh, racism.
Racism, yes. Racism issue will make someone become afraid and nervous in communicating with other people.
Come on, guys.
I mean,
racism is as old as time. You can't run away from it. Okay. Racism comes in different forms, yeah? It can be color, it can be religion, it can be how you look, it can be how you talk. Ingat tak kat sekolah? Okay, let's example, sekolah kalau budak tu pandai cakap bahasa Inggeris, you rasa kawan-kawan dia nak kawan tak dengan dia? Right?
Yes.
Dia tak nak kawan kan?
Yes, correct.
Budak ni action lah, dia pandai cakap bahasa Inggeris, tak nak kawan lah. And everybody gang up against the guy. Right? That's a form of racism too. Yeah? You work in an office which everybody wears exactly the same thing. Semua orang pakai baju yang sama, rupa dia sama, dia macam kalau jalan tu macam robot, sama je. Tapi you seorang je pakai baju merah. And then orang kata, apa masalah dia ni ya? Kenapa dia tak boleh ikut kita? That's racism too. Right?
Yes.
So what I think you need to do is you need to rise above that. Don't use that as a weapon to put you down. Have confidence, build your confidence. I think confidence is so important. And I've been multiple organizations. I'm free hair. You can see my beautiful hair. And every time I go to an organization, people will ask me, dia dah tua tak pakai tudung. That's a form of racism too, right? So I believe you have to stand on your own. I believe you need to have confidence in yourself. Nobody can put you down except for you. So for young generation, janganlah dengar sangat social media tu. Janganlah banyak sangat tengok TikTok. Tu semua tipu. Janganlah dengar all the influencers, right? Form your own opinion. Have your own identity. I am so sorry that you live in a world where there's so much noise. That's why tadi I cakap, you have to listen. Who make the noise? Who's talking? Who's not? And then eliminate those bad noise. And it takes a long time to get to where I am with enough confidence to give you this advice and tell you not to listen to people. So I have 35 years of experience to be able to do that. So take your time. Jangan terlampau how do you call it? Sedih. Rendah hati.
Follow with your emotion too much.
I'm so sad. People are saying this about me. I mean, relax guys. If you are 20 years old, depending on how long you're going to live, if it's 50, you have 50 years of people talking about you. So get over it.
Yes,
Sounds
yes.
ganas kan? Sorry guys. Get over it.
So, okay, this is for basically the students who recently graduated, okay? So, what is the career path for a student who is joining a corporate communication department? What do you, yeah.
I think I always tell people that if you want to get to my level, you need to be able to have a well-rounded communications experience. So katalah dekat dalam organisation tu dia ada 5 jenis comms function. Katalah dia have 5 comms functions. So one comms function is internal comms. The other one is external comms. And then they have corporate social responsibility. And then they are the external comms. External comms masuk media relations lah ya. And then they are the stakeholder management. Ya. Katalah dia ada satu lagi stakeholder management, internal comms, external comms, and okay lah kata 4 lah. So katalah you ada 4. So katalah you masuk-masuk you buat internal comms. So do internal comms for 2 or 3 years, then do something else later. Then move on to maybe external comms or media relations. And I do that 3 years, learn the ropes, understand it better, then move to corporate social responsibility or sustainability. Now, so if you constantly change that scope, right, that functionality, or you want to go to branding, for example, then you have that well-rounded communications experience to enable you to go to the next level. But I can tell you, with all this function that you are there, the biggest, most important skill that a communicator need to have is the ability to write well.
The ability to write well.
Yeah. So kalau misalnya because that's how you function anyway, right? So you need to be able to write well.
Okay.
Kalau lagi-lagi daripada tulis, you still kena tulis lah. That's why I kata jadi secretary best. Secretary 4 minutes. learn how to do it.
Okay, so we are coming to an end, but one more question coming in is that since you have a 35 experience in the com industries, okay, so is there any life learning advice on career path, basically, like for us, the students who just graduated, is there any life learning advice that you can give to us?
Life learning, I think I'm going to repeat it again. You need to be on the learning curve and sabar, yeah. Comms ni kena banyak sabar. Keep your head down, learn as much as you can, get as much experience as you can. Copy if you need to. I have another saying which is kind of funny. Every now and then I'll tell people that creativity is great, plagiarism is faster. Sorry guys.
I have to agree with that.
So copy is okay, learn, copy, observe, and then and kalau you masuk mula kerja, kalau misalnya you kena buat benda bodoh-bodoh like fotokopi ke, actually dah tak ada sekarang, everybody fotokopi sendiri. Dulu zaman-zaman I bila nak bully budak intern je suruh fotokopi, ya. Sekarang dah tak adalah. Kalau dia kata you do have to do media monitoring. Media monitoring is not easy tau. You have to scan the media, come back with summary, and most of these young graduates, budak-budak eksekutif ni, bila kita suruh dia buat kerja dia tak nak. Dia malas. Hello guys, that's how you learn. Do media monitoring. Understand what's happening out there. Read the news. That's your job. Read the news. Because kalau you tak tahu what's happening out there, macam mana you nak advise internally? Macam mana you nak kata you tahu what's happening out there? So bila dia kata media monitoring tu, buat je lah. Just do it. Don't expect them to give you a bigger task. Right? Learn as you move along. So like what I said, Orang suruh I pegang tray, ya I pegang. 1, 2 kali, 3 kali boleh lah. And after that, I decided to solve my problem. Before my boss asked me to hold the tray, I make sure that the secretary hold the tray. So always solve problems. If you don't want to do it, find a solution, right? So you have to be smart about it. So it's all about how earnest, how best you want to maneuver a problem, will help you as you move along in your career. But again, communications again is about listening. It's not just about talking. Yeah. So listen more, then you'll do fine. I have faith in you. That's why I I work with MMU, because I think there's an opportunity to bring out a new breed of communicators out there, right? And I'm so proud of the faculty. I boast about it all the time, because when you see your lecturers, they have they have a hope that they will churn out different kind of communicators out there in the marketplace, and that's so important, because as I said, communicators have so many competitors. So you've taken this course, you want to be somebody, a communicator after you graduate, then work your way towards that. Listen to my advice. I think this is the best advice I can give you. I dah tak boleh nak bagi advice lain. I tak boleh nak pegang tangan, pukul you every now and then. I can't do that. But I'm giving you advice, always be on the learning curve. So jangan perasan you dah pandai just because you graduate, okay? Jangan perasan.
So basically, like our life is all about learning through time, basically. Like, okay. So okay, thank you so much, Ms. Liz, for just now, for the discussion just now, for the Q&A just now. A lot has been discussed regarding the topic of communication in uncharted waters. And as the saying goes, to every beginning, there is an ending. And now we have come to an end for the event today. And once again, thank you everyone for gracing our ceremony with your presence. We truly appreciated it. On behalf of the organizing committees, I would like to apologize if we have done any mistakes throughout the event. We will end today's talk with a video from Multimedia University, and afterwards we will have a virtual photo session with all of the participants today. I end my duty as an MC for today's event with wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day and Godspeed.
Thank you.